which raises a universal question. Is it possible for the haves to restore to the have-nots an honoured place in their nation's history? What is tantalising about these events in Australia is that the answer to that question is not predetermined, not yet, and that there still seems a possibility for reconciliation between people of the first and third worlds sharing one country. In some respects, Australia denies itself sovereignty, for it's the most foreign-owned of any developed country. So what does land rights really mean? Who really owns Australia? This is freehold land owned by most ordinary Australians. That is the 90% who live in suburban towns and cities. And this is land leased by the pastoralists, many of them large foreign companies, and farmers whose forebears squatted on land in the 19th century. These are national parks where the wildlife can only be shot with the camera. And this is vacant Crown land, nothing to do with the royal family. It's land owned by the state and federal governments. And this is the land that the Aborigines have won back as a result of limited legislation in the 1970s. Most of it is barren desert, the kind of land whites don't want, unless, of course, there's something rich underneath it.
We've got wastelands, wetlands, all swamps and all this type of business. And also, we own the Great Simpson Desert. We own the Stony Desert over here. We own only deserts and waste and wetlands. That's all we own. Yeah. And also, in South Australia, we own a place, what they call Maralinga lands. Now, we all, the infamous Maralinga. You know, that's all polluted with plutonium and all the byproducts of uranium.
Australia has the distinction of being the only country in the world to have supplied uranium for nuclear bombs, which its leaders allowed to be dropped by a foreign power on their own territory and their own people without warning. In the 1940s, the British were looking for somewhere to explode their new nuclear weapons. The central and western deserts of Australia were said to be ideal. Dr. Keith Locum, director of the Australian Radiation Laboratory, said, "There was the view in the back of everybody's mind that the land was unoccupied and likely to remain so. This view ignored the fact that an entire Aboriginal nation had lived on the land since before the arrival of Captain Cook. British history was conveniently repeating itself. More than 160 years earlier, all of Australia had been declared an empty land. At Maralinga and Emu Junction, between 1952 and 57, 9 nuclear bombs were exploded. Yami Lester was 12 at the time. His people